Hi, everyone. Yeah, as Elliot said, I'm Phil Holm. Thank you for joining today. I am the lead creative of interactive news at the Associated Press. Today, I'm going to talk about some of the essential reasons to leverage custom themes in Datawrapper. I've created a few different custom Datawrapper themes for AP, and I'm here to talk about why taking the time to set up a theme is essential to your brand. Also going to touch on some of the points about that I've learned along the way in the design process and show you one of our secondary theme types, which I believe you'll find quite useful, as well as some other of our theme variants that we've also applied. There are many advantages to syncing your brands, and there's a lot to cover, and I don't have a lot of time, so just kind of want to get right into it. Um, so let's talk about some of the reasons like why we want to go this way. So, like first off, you might be wondering why this is so important, or why when Data Wrapper's default theme already checks a lot of the boxes and looks really great. Why should I go custom? Why should I bother? Kind of taking the time to implement this custom theme. Well, one of the main reasons why I can't stress enough like why doing so is so important is that this really captures the essence of your brand. So whether EP's data wrapper content lives on our own platform or someone else's, cross-pollinating our brand across data wrapper's array of visualization options is essential in ensuring that our readers, the content stands by AP's integrity, its non-biased values, and is always advancing the power of fact. Custom themes ensure that your brand's voice resonates and is detectable wherever your audience chooses to consume your content. Custom themes can transform your data wrapper embeds into a direct extension of your brand, reinforcing your distinct visual identity and brand recognition, which provides a trusted experience for your readers. A customized theme ensures that your brand's personality, its values, and messaging are accurately conveyed through visuals, fostering a cohesive and memorable brand image. The consistency not only extends brand recall, but it also contributes to a professional and overall polished experience, making for your brand to be more appealing and recognizable to your target audience. At the Associated Press, um, we strive to ensure that our data visualizations seamlessly complement our storytelling. A custom theme ensures your brand's voice resonates and is detectable where your audience chooses to consume your content. In AP in 2023, the Associated Press relaunched its website with a more vibrant color palette and a bespoke font. Aligning all of our visual formats across the company rebrand was a significant undertaking and a high priority objective that also included updating our data wrapper style guide. So getting our new colors into a document where I was going to work, where work on in the data wrapper redesign seemed like a practical first step. So I included a complete visual reference of the new AP color palette and, if you're working with a wide array of colors in your palette, like I was, like organizing them into a meaningful color groupings for Data Wrapper's color picker was a must too. Like you want to just kind of think of that and just more of like a custom swatch panel that like you've used in other creative software applications. You can also add in things like predefined gradient ramps, which come in useful for chloropleth mapping. In the color picker that was set up for AP, we kind of chose the primary colors from the AP brand and gave them like a top position in our color picker. It's just like the kind of the most used. And then I also created like color bucket sets for our election coverage, ensure consistency and accuracy. You can organize your color groups in any way that suits your needs best. One other notable design choice we made with color in general was to only use true black in the main headers and the call out labels. So like limiting the scope of black text establishes like a visual tier of importance in our text elements. And like other labels are like various shades of gray to help the eye kind of define like what's most important, etc. And second most important and things like um, so like if we didn't establish like this visual hierarchy, we'd run the risk of our labels and descriptors blending in too much with one another. Like for example, our starter guide has a large, bold black header paired with some more condensed, lighter shade description fields below it. This what kind of helps our headlines stand out. And then just like the color palette, I made a visual cheat sheet of all of our typography styles, which I used for reference throughout the redesign process. All the hierarchy considerations made are designed to let the visual data viz portion of the graphics steal the show. Like we definitely believe data visualizations should pop off the page and contain just a few meaningful callouts around them that best guide the storytelling. To help with this, we've also toned down the appearance of things like our axis labels, horizontal grid lines. You'll likely spend a lot of bit of time like getting your visual hierarchies just right, as this, of course, all depends on your design goals. Now that I've talked a little bit about the essential setup, let's pivot into stitching your brands into mapping. With custom themes, your brand cohesion continues to flow into your mapping products. AP Locator maps recently got a significant facelift when, with the emphasis of enhancing contrast in their appearance overall to better align with the bold new look of our website. If you're just starting out and creating a custom data wrapper theme or like considering doing so, like one of the areas you want to spend some time with is designing what your locator maps will look like at the various zoom extents. So this is kind of a fun challenge for designers. And I started out with the country view perspective. And then I worked down to the regional view, to the city, and then I finished up in the neighborhood level. The country view is typically the easiest because it's much less geographic detail to design, but it's also one of the most important as it sets the tone for what's to come as your users dive deeper into your maps. If you zoom in a few levels, you'll see like water and forest and urban layer areas begin to emerge along with interstates and motorways. And if you zoom in even closer, you will see like roads, more detailed roads appear along with parks and more smaller waterways and building structures. So getting the label hierarchy kind of set up was easy. I'm going back because I had this typography cheat sheet that I made. So you can go back and reference it, which I showed a few slides back here. It ensures that you can like kind of stay on brand and make picking and choosing labels for your locator maps a much simpler task. Another thing to like consider, like when you're working with defining your map styles, um, is to remember to like kind of color shift your stroke colors from like dark to light, just past regional view. Why do we do this? Well, there's no sort of mandatory rule that says we have to. However, like, for our map style, we saw advantages in having darker roadways and like at some like global and regional views, so that the sense of population like appears. And then like you kind of use like lighter roadways at city and neighborhood levels to prevent maps from kind of looking too noisy and allowing them, to like let your street labels be easily seen, your call out markers, texts, and other like, annotations that you're going to be putting on the map. They become much easier to read with lighter streets. At those levels, again, here our goal overall is to like allow a reporting content to pop off. Like and to be one of the first things your eye travels to and not like the underlying base map details. Okay. So like this is definitely one of my favorite features when constructing locator maps. The presets menu for locator maps is like a bookmark of all your geographic styles that you're able to set up. Like, so you set this up once and streamline your production process for making maps. It ensures accuracy, brand alignment. It's a plus for your team as well. Like it makes them happier knowing that they don't have to fumble around with styling decisions and things like that on the fly, especially when the newsroom is getting crazy. It's a relatively simple feature that just makes carrying content easier. So when like designing your organization's theme, it's imperative to consider which marker styles and presets you're going to want to add in for your team and your workflow. You kind of want to check your data too. Like as I was walking through, like kind of like working through the process, there was a bit of iteration back and forth, and so it's important to test your theme. And you're likely going to have a little bit of iteration involved to get it just right. Like street data can for example, be like kind of messy, it definitely pays to spot check the various areas of the world to ensure all of your road data is showing up as it intended to. And with a few rounds of trial and error on my end, I'm happy to say the Golden Gate Bridge has returned in our map styles, as it was kind of missing along with a few other road networks around it in earlier stages of our development. And kind of like wraps up some of the mapping and the charting and the best practices and best uses for applying your themes and creating themes. I kind of want to like pivot a little bit now and talk about something that as we sort of come up with like we've been using these for a while, like what other ways can we leverage the themes. And one of we kind of sort of like examine like maybe like this possibility like we can get these up and looking good on places like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter or X. So like we started exploring the options for a social media theme. At first we ended to define, and this is like the interface of like what our themes look like. We have various layout options for all the themes that we have created at the AP. We have you can see in the drop down menu there's quite a few. So like we just started to look at the different like canvas sizes that like these platforms are using to like display their content. So we started out like then defining what those sizes are, using that as a canvas size in Datawrapper, and then we began like tweaking things. Like we began enlarging font sizes or increasing the margins around the graphics. We made our AP logo larger. Things that are kind of imperative, like when you're flipping through your phone and you think content comes across your eyes so fast, you want to try and have like an object that kind of stands out. So like definitely capturing with a big bold headline, using bright colors to capture the audience, or some tips there for that. This theme concept, though, that does come with some limitation. So, like locking in a canvas size is not conducive to every chart type. So, this theme works best when the height of the graphics are not dependent on the data. However, like, when the requirements are met, the social theme like easily scales our content out to audiences on different platforms, which is what we're looking to do, like get our stuff out to as many people as possible. So, in addition to this social media theme, we have another series of like kind of like breakout themes. And so like we do have one for like partnerships. If you're an organization working with the AP, like we have in the past, like collaborate with folks on stories in series that are more longer term and that required some brand representation for the stakeholders that are involved with those projects. These are like typically like will incorporate different like maybe like their company brands, colors, or combining logos, like, and using those in the credits. Um, Simple little, like, switches that kind of, like, tailor the content for the purpose of your partnership. Um, we also have a dedicated theme for, like, darker backgrounds. So, like, this is for, like, when, special AP presentations, like, use black backgrounds or story pages, and it's, kind of proven pretty useful, in some of our biggest stories. That's all I have for right now in terms of how to put forth the best and custom theme. If you don't currently have a custom data wrapper theme or have been considering one, I hope you can see some of the added benefits of syncing your brand to data wrapper and the potential that unlocks for your organization. Um, so with that, like, just thank you for listening in, and I can take any questions now that you might have.
Thanks so much, Phil. Great, really great talk. The whole like custom theme and many multiple themes that you did for Data Wrapper seemed like a huge undertaking. Can you give us a sense of like how long that took to kind of define those styles?
Yeah, the first set was like the first time we did this was like, kind of a new space. It took a little bit of time to set up and test out. But like as I did it more and enhanced it a little bit more, it took, I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks back and forth, like mixing with the day to day that I also have to be responsible for. Putting this, so like kind of doing this on the side. Um, Yeah, it took a couple of weeks. I think the last redesign brand that I did with you guys in this, I think we started in December, and that was through the holidays too. It was much done by like mid to end of January.
Cool. I'm curious because I know that all style guides, especially ones as detailed as the APs, tend to have their quirks. So I'm curious what the kind of trickiest thing you found when implementing it.
I guess the trickiest thing was like just making sure that people listen to, like, apply the right presets and stuff, and then making sure that our staff is, like, using it as it's intended. Like, the execution of it, in practice can be tricky, but, like, with a little run through and some familiarity of, like, what our, graphics, need to look like, everyone picks it up pretty quick. But in terms of our development standpoint, the trickiest part definitely is the roads. Like getting the roads and like the geographic for locator maps was you kind of want to hit that sweet spot. So like I kind of looked around for like inspiration from other maps that I found online and like, okay, like they're kind of doing this and like they're doing that. And I think we can put a little like, our own little, I think we can improve on both of those like areas. And then we kind of like put forth our own suggestions and ideas. So like I spend most of the time working on like getting the roads just right.
Cool. Um,
Yeah.
I'm curious if you have any advice for organizations looking to implement their own custom theme in Datawrapper, but they don't necessarily have, this detailed style guide already like the AP does.
Yeah, I guess like, definitely come up with like a mood board, like it's some kind of like definitely go in with like some sort of brand assets and you don't have to make it super detailed to make it be successful. And some of the most successful graphics are very simple. Considering what your design goals is, you have to take that into consideration. What are you trying to build? Everyone's projects and everyone's goals might not be the same. So, advice there would be do what you feel is best. That's always the right path forward.
Cool. Um, I'm curious. The within the AP, when you showed them the data wrapper theme that you've been working on, what kind of reaction did you get?
Oh, everyone loved, the new so we got a new font, last year too. We have a new bespoke font, that we've included, in our new data wrapper. So, like, not only does the color palette change and our, everything changed last year. We launched a new website. We a whole new color palette, new font, so everything kind of changed. So, like, when folks saw it, they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's so much more high contrast, it's bolder." Like, they liked, the really bold color palette, and the more bold fonts. And I think exact kind of like bringing that into Locator maps, that's like where it was most visible change. I think folks were really pleased to see the improvements there. I think originally, like the biggest improvement was we had very washed out road layers. Admittedly, that was my fault. Uh, so, like, that was one of the things. Like, that's why I really spent a lot of time getting it right this time, making sure that it was very, very eye pleasing. So, I think folks are really responding really positively to that.
Great. This is a little bit off topic, but something I was wondering. You've spent 20 years at the AP. Um, what kind of charting tools and approaches to charting have you seen come and go over those 20 years?
Oh my god! Wow. Okay. Yeah. I could go back in time and talk for media freehand and like, things like that. If I have to. But yeah, charting tools like that's kind of where we started. And in media freehand a long time ago. Um, and then we kind of did. I did a lot of print work when I first started. Like we did a lot of graphics for print, and yeah, we did pivot to Illustrator rather earlier on. But a lot of that stuff was produced there. We experimented with like building our own chart builders and things like that. And then like newer tools come around and like they're just easier to maintain. Like, it's hard to maintain and keep things up to date on your own and still do all of the reporting and the data visualization work itself and the storytelling aspects, working with our editors. So taking that burden off of us and like looking out to other tools. Like so we kind of worked in Flash. We did, some D3, and now we're kind of like leaning on tools that do this for us in a clean and well packaged way. And it's getting easier and easier and easier. It kind of makes our jobs like super easy, but like that takes the weight off of us for having to produce these things, and we could focus more on our storytelling and our narratives and really producing like higher quality content. The repetitious parts of the process are getting like kind of like removed for us with these really nice tools.
Great. Well, I think we're ready to introduce our next speaker, but thanks so much, Phil. Really appreciate you being here.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.